Welcome to another hashtag Football Friday on Second City Sports for Week 2 in the NFL and Week 3 in college football on Sports Zone Chicago. With Miss Lakeena McGee, I am Sydney Brown. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter and at Keena_McGee on the IG.
You can follow Second City Sports on our audio version. It's War on. You can find us at War on Anchor wherever you download your podcast, including the iHeartRadio app. We're available on podcast platforms at War on Anchor. Once again, at WARR on Anchor. But first, you can download the Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps, whether it's the Apple iTunes Store or the Google Play Store. Make sure the app says Sports Zone Chicago. You can follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Sports Zone Chicago. Once again, you can follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, besides catching the audio version of this podcast at War Anchor, follow the guys at War Media at WAR Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Once again, at War Media at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And you can catch our show every Monday, Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Once again, it's every Monday and Friday right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Every Monday and Friday from noon to 2 p.m. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
So if I know yeah, I always do that.
Okay,
go ahead. Thank you very much for your like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends, and feel free to comment as usual. Our buddy, what's up, Armando? Laura Jr., you're one of our biggest supporters. Hey. What's up, Armando? Happy Football Friday.
Yes. If you want to contribute to the show via your comments, you can do so on our Facebook page and on our YouTube page at Sports Zone Chicago. Once again, at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube, for Sports Zone Chicago on Facebook. Post your comments, whether you agree with us or not. Make sure you keep them respectful. If you don't, Lakeena will politely give you the Kevin Butler boot. But any of our topics, any of our questions, questions or comments you have on the show, just post them on our Facebook and or YouTube pages at Sports Zone Chicago, and we'll get them on the air for you. Lakeena, let's get it started. Let's get the important stuff out the way as we get into baseball. The Chicago White Sox are 83-63 on the season. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim earlier this week. They are still 11 games up on Cleveland. I believe the magic number is still 7. The White Sox are 3-5 in their last 8 games. They take on the Texas Rangers in New Globe Life Ballpark outside of Dallas. Starting the 3-game series on the road starts tonight. It looks like the earliest they can clinch the AL Central will be Monday in Detroit, as we told you guys a few weeks ago. So it looks like everything is coming to fruition, Lakeena, as far as that is concerned. But get into what's the field of play. Lakeena, is not the end of the world losing 2 out of 3 to the Angels. What's frustrating is you had some decent pitching from Dallas Keuchel on that game on Wednesday. You ended up losing 3-2. You had runners on first and third with nobody out. You try to go for the home run ball instead of playing fundamentally sound baseball. Brian Goodwin strikes out. Cesar Hernandez pops out to left field. Not enough juice on the ball to get that ball out of the ballpark. And the Sox blow that one. Of course, yesterday they got shellacked. Renato Lopez didn't have it. That offense didn't have it either. So you could throw that game away as far as I'm concerned. But the Wednesday game really frustrated you-know-what out of me. Dallas Keuchel actually had a decent game, 3 strikeouts through 6 innings. Even though he had 5 walks, he pitched okay. But the day before on Tuesday, Lucas Giolito returning from injury in 4 innings of starting pitching, 8 strikeouts. He was very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, that's unfortunate that they wasted that start from Keuchel. But But you know what, though? Look, I think that's a good thing, especially if he wants to be part of that playoff roster in the starting rotation. So I think, that's probably, I think that you'll take that if you're a Sox fan, even though, they end up losing that game. Thursday's game, I mean, it's kind of like you can kind of throw that game away. It was just like, I think most of the guys had the day off, and it just wasn't. Look, it just wasn't going to be for the Sox, and look, and that's okay. I mean, look, this time of year, look, they're well ahead. The match number 7, they'll probably be clinching before probably about this time next week. So I'm not gonna, freak out, or nor should Sox fans freak out. Look, Lopez had a solid outing. I mean, yeah, he gave up 7 hits and 7 runs, but he did have 7 strikeouts and gave up 2 home runs. But but like we said, I mean, a lot of the top guys, sat, so it's not, especially the Abreu and Robert, and that's and that's okay. But you know what? I mean, I'm not gonna like freak out because they lost to they lost the series to the Angels. I'm not gonna like freak out about it. But just like I said, feel free to comment if you're a White Sox fan, you're concerned about, if you're showing a little bit of concern about what's going on in lately with the Sox. But you know what though? I mean, they're still like right there, like for that number 2 seed in the AL. So they're right behind Houston. So it's not the end of the world if you lose to a not a great but a decent Angels team. So it's not like it's nothing to freak out about, I would say.
And he actually did a heck of a job on Shohei Ohtani. He only had 1 hit in the series, 1 walk. He was hit by a pitch yesterday. Of course, the umpires had enough. They assumed that it was something major. I didn't see anything of it. Neither did Tony La Russa. He got tossed as well. But you did a pretty good job on Shohei Ohtani, but it was the other guys that stepped up for the Angels, and that's exactly what happened in this series. Like I said, it's not the end of the world. The magic number would be 6 if the Sox would have taken care of business on Wednesday, but it's not the case. It's still at 7. The Cleveland Indians, who trail the Sox by 11.5 games, they're going to take on the New York Yankees on the road this weekend. We'll get to the Yankees in just a moment as we review the best and the best and worst of a Major League Baseball from this past week in just a moment. But the Indians will take on the Yankees in the Bronx starting tonight, and hopefully, if you're a Sox fan, the New York Yankees will take care of business there. But first, the White Sox can take care of business. They need to take care of business against a young and bad Texas Rangers team. You have Giolito going on Sunday. I believe Dylan Cease tonight, and Lance Lynn, I believe, tomorrow. So you have your big guns going in this series. There's no excuse to sweep this team. I'm putting the pressure on them. They should be able to sweep this team.
Lynn's actually going to be Giolito's actually going to be Sunday, and Lynn's going to be tomorrow. But I mean, there's no excuse why you shouldn't win this series, or at least sweep the Rangers. If not, at the very least, win 2 out of 3. Because like we've been saying this last couple of weeks with teams, on the tail end, in the bottom of the standings, it doesn't mean that you're not gonna get the best out of them. So, and the Rangers actually have given teams some fits lately. So, the important thing is don't let your fall off the gas. You're the White Sox. Shrink that magic number. You shouldn't have no trouble with the Rangers. This weekend, you should be able to, at the very least, like I said, split, win the series 2 out of 3. So there's no excuse why you shouldn't. Just don't get caught looking ahead, because you gotta think these teams are good. Like we've been saying, you're gonna get the best out of these bottom tier teams because a lot of them are playing for their contracts or whatever. So it's you just can't take these teams lightly.
You're listening to Second City Sports on the hashtag Football Friday, along with Lakeena McGee. I am Sydney Brown as we talk about the White Sox and the rest of Major League Baseball. If you want to comment on any topics of our show today, you can go to our Facebook page at Sports Zone Chicago and on our YouTube page at Sports Zone Chicago. Place your comments or questions in the comment section. Lakeena will get them up and running for you. We'll answer them as best we can. Lakeena, the playoff roster, I'm not going to say it's totally set yet. I think there's still a couple of spots there are up for grabs, including in the bullpen. But I'm going to go to the backup position plays like Leary, the legend, not Larry Garcia, Billy Hamilton. I know Adam Engel has been hurt with that hamstring and various injuries all year. It looks like I don't think he's going to be healthy by the time the playoffs roll around. Brian Goodwin, he's been swinging a decent bat lately, despite what happened on Wednesday. But his outfield play has been kind of iffy, in my opinion. Eloy Jimenez, shout out to him. I believe it was Wednesday. He had that great catch in left field.
Yes, he did.
We thought he was going to break his arm again. Thank goodness it did not happen. So I'm not saying Eloy's going to win a Gold Glove. I'm not saying stick him there for good, because that's not happening. But excuse me. But these backup guys like Billy Hamilton, Leary Garcia, Brian Goodwin. These guys are important come playoff time. Unfortunately, the Sox couldn't finish the job on Wednesday, but Billy Hamilton pitch ran during that ninth inning on Wednesday in that loss. And I said to people, and I'll say it here, he's your Dave Roberts, now manager of the Dodgers. But remember, Dave Roberts did not pick up a bat during that 0-4 run for the Red Sox when they finally won their World Series over the St. Louis Cardinals. He was a pitch runner. Of course, we saw what happened in that historic comeback in Game 4 against the Yankees in a historic ALCS. He stole the base on Mariano Rivera. Of course, everything else fell into place for Boston after that. But Billy Hamilton is going to be your version of Dave Roberts. If he swings a hot stick for a key hit, so be it. But his job is to steal bases, pitch run, and be a substitute on defense at the end of games, along with Leary Garcia. Those two guys are going to be key come playoff time.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of like you want to keep everyone healthy. And look, that Eloy catch, as great as it was, I think, like I said, I was freaking out. Like, oh Lord, like I was hoping he didn't like land on his arm and break his arm again. That's what happened. But thankfully that wasn't the case. And look, let's hope that doesn't happen a lot, please. But I mean, look, I think you're going to need all those guys, as you mentioned, Sid, to kind of contribute, especially as you get later to the season. You want to have that momentum going into the playoffs. And look, the good news is for the White Sox, there's a lot of depth with the bats, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think what's really going to stop the Sox is going to be the pitching. And you got a couple of your middle relievers banged up right now, but that's okay. You still got a lot of depth there, and hopefully you'll have everybody healthy by the time the playoffs start. I know Kimbrel has struggled a little bit lately, but we showed a little bit of promise in that win. But I mean, you just kind of like roll the punches. Like I said, it's the ebbs and flows of the season. I think you just want your guys ready for the playoffs, and that's what hopefully that'll be the case for, because you got some guys that have a lot of playoff experience. Kimbrel's got a lot of playoff experience. We know Bree's got a playoff experience now. Some of the guys from the team last year. So I think there's really no excuse why the White Sox should at the very least, at least win one series in the playoffs. Again, we'll get to that once we get to that point, but. It's just like, I think the good news is that, you're keeping everybody healthy as we get into it.
And the way that the schedule breaks for the White Sox, and we talked about this as well for the last few weeks, this team still has an opportunity to win 90-plus games. Of course, you're facing Texas on the road this weekend. You go to Detroit, I believe, for 4 next week. And then you have Cincinnati coming here for 2 games. I believe you go to Cleveland next weekend, if I'm not mistaken. You can check on that, Lakeena, but for a big 5-game series. So you have a chance to pack up the wins and create momentum going into the playoffs. And I know some Sox fans a few weeks ago were saying that this team has nothing to play for. Yes, they're going to win the division. They had nothing to play for. Oh, no, you still have something to play for. Now, you still have an outside shot at getting that number 1 seed. I know Tampa Bay has they struggled they struggled earlier this week against the Toronto Blue Jays, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But it's a real possibility that the number 2 seed still can be yours. Houston, I know they won big at Texas last night, but they had trouble with them earlier this week, and they've been struggling as well. The number 1 seed is still an outside shot, but maybe not likely. But the number 2 seed is up for grabs. And this team, you can compare statistics between home and away. If you're the White Sox, this team needs to start the division series at home. That is a must. Not saying you can't win on the road. Eventually, you're going to have to win a couple of games on the road. But for this team to gain this confidence, they must get the number 2 seed and start at home.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be sort of like the thing that's going to tell how far his White Sox team goes. I think the fact that you can tell, like, when they're on the, when they're at home, especially, that they have a better record. That's not that's not a bad thing, but I think if you want to win the playoffs, you're going to have to win on the road. So, and also avoid getting the home field stolen from you. So we'll just have to wait and see with the White Sox and how they, especially once everything is finished, looking at the schedule, you got to think the White Sox the final schedule, it kind of favors the White Sox more than the others. I mean, yeah, they still got an outside shot at the 1, but it's going to be a little bit difficult. The Rays, have, their schedule is a little not too hard. I think they still have to play the Red Sox, I think, one more time, but it's. Look, I think as long as you get to like the top 2 seed, I think you'll be okay. Now let's talk about the I mean, the Cubs. I mean, what more can you say? I mean, they actually they actually split their series with the Phillies, which we'll get to the Phillies in a second. But you showed a little bit of promise. I know that unfortunately, Jason Harris back on the IL, and look, Wisdom's been playing well, and they've had they're putting up a fight, which I think that's. Unfortunately, they had a big lead, and they just got the doors blown off them with the Phillies. They lost 17-8 in the game last night. They play the Brewers starting tonight, but yeah, I mean, okay, you got a little bit of promise. I mean, and just show a little bit of fight. And you're gonna get that from the Cubs. And look, they may go with maybe only a handful of games these last couple of weeks of the season, but I think they're showing a little bit of promise. You got Whistle's been playing very well, and a few other guys. So it's just, I mean, I really don't know what else to say if you're a Cubs fan, but I think you're just hoping that you can show some promise about this time next year.
As we said before, when teams go through rebuilding phases, it's all about on-the-job training on a professional level, and that's what this Cubs team is going through right now. Kyle Hendricks, I know he was the starting pitcher last night. He got shellacked after the Cubs took an early 7-0 lead. You mentioned Lakeena, you have Frank Schwindel and Patrick Wisdom and some of these other guys. Rafael Ortega has been playing very well. I like the promise in him. Of course, you get Nick Madrigal in that trade from the White Sox back in July. He's going to be in the lineup next year. Cody Hoyer has been looking good for the Cubs, so he may be their future closer. So you have some pieces here. As we said before, how much will they dive into free agency this offseason? Will the checkbook be open? Will it be open slightly, halfway, all the way open, which we doubt? But how much of that checkbook will be open this year? Will they decide to go for it all next year, or will they just keep this steady pace until around this time next year? Because we said the rest of this year was a wash, perhaps the first half of next year. Yeah, so they're going to have plenty of time to see what they have.
Yeah, they're going to have to show a little bit of promise too in order for fans to kind of buy in, because you're seeing a little bit of a sparse crowd over at Wrigley. We'll see what happens. In this homestand with the starting. I think they're on the road, but once they get back at home, I mean, you wonder okay, how is it going to look? I mean, we saw it right before they went on their road trip. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the crowd reacts at Wrigley, because it's just that you have to show a little bit of promise, or else people aren't going to show up.
All right, we had to show up, and we're showing up, but we got to show off for this first break as we approach the bottom of the hour. When we return on Second City Sports Zone, Sports Zone Chicago, we're going to get to the best and worst of Major League Baseball from this past week and give you some key series for this weekend to watch. Lakeena's going to have her top college football games to watch for tomorrow, and HBO and NFL fans will do something that has never been done before. We'll have all that and more as you're listening to #Football Friday on Second City Sports, only on Chicago. Ooh, I almost said the old station. Only on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid and Lakeena here with you. Keep it here.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. In Sunday's Major League Baseball action, the Cubs got pounded 9-1 at home against Kansas City. The White Sox shut out on the road 9-0 at Tampa. NFL preseason on Saturday, the Bills hammered the Bears 41-15. Andy Dalton, 11 of 17, passing 146 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Justin Fields, 9 of 19 for 80 yards. Head coach Matt Nagy says Dalton remains the Week 1 starter and that Fields is ahead of schedule.
When you look at a guy like Justin and you see the things that he's doing, are there some things that he can get better at? Yeah, for sure. That's going to be, we're going to say that 3 years from now. But at the same point in time, for him, there's also things that he's doing better probably than we thought coming into this, which is good too. That's what we want. We want that to happen.
Download the free Score app. Lightning fast updates so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
Blue Star medicated ointment works fast to relieve the pain and itch of almost any skin irritation.
It's amazing. It's like as soon as you put it on, you can feel it working. We've had Blue Star in the family for years. It works on everything.
I love the cooling sensation on my athlete's foot.
What a relief for my eczema.
Nothing worked on my dry, cracked skin until I tried Blue Star.
Blue Star is great for scalp itch.
Look for the white box with the Blue Star in the first aid section. Feel Blue Star work fast, or your money back.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year. Automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Back to hashtag Football Friday on Sports Zone Chicago. You're listening to Second City Sports along with Lakeena McGee. I am Sydney Brown. If you want to comment or ask us a question, you can do so on our Facebook page at Sports Zone Chicago or on our YouTube page at Sports Zone Chicago. Comments or questions, concerns, place them in the comment section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen and on the air for us. Lakeena, as we continue the baseball talk before we get to your college football games for tomorrow, the best and worst from MLB from this week. Congratulations to the San Francisco Giants and the Los Angeles Dodgers for both clinching playoff spots. And those two teams are still battling for the NL West title, division title. I believe whoever loses that race will have the wild card spot. In the second wild card spot for the National League will have to be Cincinnati, San Diego, who barely won the last two games of the series against the Giants. Or will it be the St. Louis Cardinals? As we told you guys, they've been on the come for the last few weeks. Now they're suddenly in the clubhouse right now.
Yeah, I mean, they've won 5 in a row. They won 7 in their last 10. And look, this is the Cardinals team that, everybody, including, yours truly, had them left for dead. But look, they've been playing. Look, they've been, they have had time hitting, the pitching, has been playing very well. I mean, they've been, they swept the Mets, this week. So I think they're definitely kind of like on the cusp here. And, sorry about the phone, folks. It's a little crazy here today.
Maybe that's how Baez give you the thumbs down.
Yeah, he might be. Yeah, he's going to go straight to voicemail. Look, John Lester had a solid, outing last night. So I'm thinking that, maybe it wasn't too weird him going to the Cardinals, going to the Cardinals. But do I think they're going to be able to hang on and perhaps maybe get that last wild card spot? It's hard to say. Like you said, so they play the Padres this week, so they're gonna, this is two potential wild card teams going at it. They, one could eliminate the other. So this weekend. Mm-hmm. But they have a tough schedule. They got 4 against Milwaukee on Monday, then they have 4 against the Cubs, and they finish up with Milwaukee and the Cubs. So they're still, I'm sure Cubs will love to play spoiler for the Cardinals. So we'll just have to see how that goes with that. But it's definitely a log jam in both the wild cards divisions.
Speaking of Milwaukee, as you mentioned, they take on the Cubs at home starting tonight. Tomorrow's game will be on Fox as part of the Fox Saturday Baseball regional game of the week. Those of you in the Chicago area will view the Cubs and the Brewers, while most of the country will view the Mets and the Phillies. Mm-hmm. Oh, those Mets. I told you I'd give it up on them weeks ago. I'm not a Mets fan by any stretch, but after what Javi Baez and Francisco Lindor did with the thumbs down gesture, they've been in free fall ever since. We'll leave it at that. The Toronto Blue Jays, they took the series from the Tampa Bay Rays at home earlier this week, and also now they're in the driver's seat for the AL wildcard league. Now the Yankees have been faltering. I know they won the last game yesterday, last couple of games in the Baltimore series, and come behind fashion the other night. They're still hanging on Boston. They won the series in Seattle. You may have to say goodbye to Seattle now. We thought that Boston would self-destruct after losing 2 out of 3 here in Chicago last weekend against the Sox, but they got that stuff back together. So it's between Boston and Toronto right now for the AL wildcard race.
And also the Yankees too. Remember, they're only a half game back into that, and for that second wild card spot. Oakland and Seattle, I mean, they still got a chance. I mean, they're both only 3 and 4 games back respectively. But I think at this point, it's definitely going to be kind of like between those 3 teams in the AL East. But it's just weird how everything kind of transpires. It's all going to get crazy. You got some big series coming up this weekend, so it's going to be very interesting, to look at. And look, I think do I think, if you're asking right now who wins, who get those 2 wild card spots, I don't know. Like I don't think I have no idea who's going to end up winning it. But I mean, I think it's definitely, no one in the, has clinched yet, in the AL for this wild card, and so it's going to get very interesting. And also, too, I mean, the NL with the Dodgers are way ahead. Even if they end up passing, whoever is going to. Whoever doesn't win between the Giants and the Dodgers, they'll get that first wild card spot.
Mhm.
It's really going to be like between the Cardinals, the Padres, and the Reds. For that last, maybe the Phillies has an outside chance, but I think they may have a better shot at winning their division. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it's definitely getting interesting in these divisional and wild card races.
You're listening to Second City Sports on the hashtag Football Friday. We'll get you your football coverage in just a moment, along with Lakeena McGee. I am Cindy Brown. You're listening to Sports Zone Chicago. Lakeena, we talked about this for the last few weeks. You mentioned it in the first segment. These lowly teams, they don't have anything to play for in terms of playoff spot, but they can determine who goes to the playoffs, who goes home, seedings, things along that nature. You mentioned the NL wildcard race. The Cincinnati Reds, I know they won yesterday, 1-0 over Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh gave them all they could handle the previous 2 games of that series.
Yeah, and that's sort of like we've been saying, like I said in the last segment, that you don't take these teams lightly. I mean, I know people want to Baltimore and the Cubs and the Pirates, they're not going to want to play. They're just
Mhm.
they're going to be mostly minor league guys. No. A lot of these guys, they would love to play spoilers. So as we go through the schedule, I mean, look, that Mets Philly series, I mean, that's going to be huge. Because I think whoever wins that series will probably be out of the wild card chase, and also I'll probably even say maybe perhaps the NL East race. I don't know, but that should be a big series. I know the Dodgers and Cincy. I know Cincy has an outside shot of the the NL wild card.
That's a bigger series for Cincinnati.
Yeah. So but I think if you're the Dodgers, you want to keep up with San Fran. So you're not going to take the Reds lightly. So that's a huge series, but like I said, a bigger series for the Reds. But I think the Dodgers, you don't want to take your foot off the gas. Let's see. I'm sure Orioles and Red Sox. Look, the Orioles, okay, the Yankees all they can handle. So I'm sure they would love to play spoiler for the Red Sox. So you really look these series. But there's a big the series. These series coming up, like I said, with the White Sox and the Rangers. I mean, they're still trying to within distance of trying to get that number 2 seed, but Mariners or Royals, if they want to keep up in the AL wildcard spot.
Well, Salvador Perez hit 50 home runs this year.
Yes, it's unfortunate that Perez is not gonna get a lot of love for the AL MVP, and it's just it's just crazy how all of that has transpired. It's unfortunate because it's probably gonna end up between of course, Vlad Jr. and Shohei Ohtani. If the Royals were a better team, I think Perez would be getting some looks, but it is what it is. But also, probably the bigger series that's going to come up, that's going to start later tonight. You got the Braves and the Giants. I'm sure the Braves want to, keep their distance between the Phillies and the Mets, I should say. And I'm sure the Giants got to keep, the Dodgers are still nipping at their heels. So a lot of big series this weekend.
Also, too, don't forget, we talked about this a few weeks ago when the Giants and Brewers met up by the Bay. The Giants and Brewers are battling for home field advantage throughout the NL playoffs. And I said this then, I'll say it again. Whoever gets home field advantage in the NL, they'll be the team that represents the National League in the World Series.
Peace and blessings back to you. I do Kasim Baker, who commented to us on our YouTube channel. Thank you, Kasim. Back at you, my brother. But yeah, I mean, it's good. Look, it's going to get I'm sure it's gonna be battling it out. This could be like an offensive, slugfest here. So we'll just have to wait between these two teams. So we'll just have to wait and see. There should be some really great series coming up this weekend.
All right, the baseball conversation is in the books. Let's transfer over to college football, Lakeena, as we get into week three of college football. There are some big games tomorrow. I'm excited for a couple of them. I'm going to run off a few to see what you think. It's Big News Saturday tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time on Fox. Is the 2-1 Nebraska Cornhuskers visiting number 3 Oklahoma.
This is the first time these two teams have met in like what I think like 6 or 7 years since Nebraska left the Big 12 to go to the Big 10. I don't know if this is going to be like the game of the century type of thing from like 50 years ago, but
I doubt it.
I don't think it's going to be that. But like I'm sure Scott Frost will have his guys right. I think he was like 2-2, maybe. He might have been 3-1. I'm not sure when he was at Nebraska against Oklahoma, but it should be a fun one. It's good to see these two teams play each other again. Because the fact that they hadn't played in a few years. I mean, I know Oklahoma made a big deal about, well, why is it like on? Look, you guys have had games against Nebraska at 11 a.m. before. Like you can go back in the day, like the 70s and 80s. Like some of those Thanksgiving games were like at 11 and 11 o'clock or noon. So on Thanksgiving, in some cases. So I think that's just a little silly, but it should be a fun one. I'm sure. Look, I think Oklahoma will pull away. Like I said, the Oklahoma defense always makes things interesting. But yeah, I think Oklahoma will pull away from them late. Cincinnati and Indiana, that should be an interesting one there.
Also, Lakeena, not to cut you off, but tonight's game, I believe, is on Big Ten Network. Maryland and FS1, yeah, Maryland and Illinois. As we said, I think Illinois is going to struggle this year, even though they have first-year coach Brett Bielema. I think, call me crazy, let you know more than I do, Lakeena, which you do in terms of college football, but I think Maryland will get the best of Illinois.
Yeah, that's a very good Maryland team. Tua's younger brother is the quarterback there. So
enough said.
Tula Tagovailoa is a starting quarterback there. So I think it could be a blowout there. I mean, Mike Locks has got those Terps playing well, so that should be a fun one. UCF and Louisville, that should be an interesting one too at 6:30 tonight on ESPN. That's a Friday night game of the week there. Since like I said, Cincinnati and Indiana tomorrow at 11 a.m. That's on ESPN. That should be an interesting one there. Luke Fickell's the subject of a big coaching rumor. We'll get to that in a second. Va Tech and West Virginia. You're always great when those two teams play each other. Michigan State and Miami. That should be an interesting one.
I'm looking forward to that one. I am looking forward to that one. That's on ABC tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. Chicago time. Miami, they lost to Alabama a couple of weeks ago. They bounced back last week. Michigan State, as you mentioned, Mel Tucker, they're no pushover. I expect this to be a very physical and entertaining game.
Should be a fun one there. Northern Illinois and Michigan, look up. They're in the top 25. Michigan is. They've been playing well lately. Like I said before, I mean, they've been. But Armando said Illinois just isn't very good. And you might be right about that, my friend. So you might be right about that, Armando. But yeah, I mean, look, I think Northern. I know they had that big win against Georgia Tech a couple of weeks back in Atlanta. They had their struggles against Wyoming. Michigan, I think it's just a better team. I think they seem to be. I'm not gonna say Michigan's gonna win the Big Ten East, folks. I'm not saying that, but Jim Harbaugh's got a whole new staff. Everybody. I think pretty much everybody on his staff's like under 40. He's like the oldest coach, the oldest guy there on the coaching side. So, but that should be a fun one. Let's see. Minnesota.
Purdue at number 12 Notre Dame tomorrow at 1:30 on NBC, not on Peacock.
Yeah,
maybe the security camera version is on Peacock.
Yeah, good Lord. I haven't been impressed by Notre Dame these first couple of weeks of the season. So, and Purdue, I think they were out there one of their top running backs. So, yeah, that might be tough for them to but I think that will make it interesting. Like I said before, they're overrated, Notre Dame is, so I'm not really a big believer in them. Minnesota and Colorado, that's a very early start for Colorado. If you have the Pac-12 network, you guys can check that out. Also, Alabama and Florida, that should be a big one. That's 2:30. That's the first SEC game. 2:30 on CBS. I think Florida's got a shot.
They do have a shot. Will it keep it close? I think they'll keep it kind of sort of close, but Alabama should pull away at the end.
Yeah, I think you might be right about that. But then again, I'm sure Dan Mullen will have his guys ready. Let's see any other matchups that you got that you see that kind of
Georgia Tech and Clemson.
Yeah. I think Clemson should be on upset alert. That'll be an ABC game at 2:30. But they get Georgia Tech. Remember they lost to Northern Illinois at home a couple weeks back. So that's so I wouldn't. That's the first ACC game of the season for both teams. Florida State, hoping to bounce back from that embarrassing home loss to Jacksonville State. They got Wake Forest. That's an ESPN game at 2:30. Northwestern and Duke. If you have the ACC network, you can check that game out. Let's see.
You have South Carolina at 2-0, traveling to Athens, Georgia, to take on the number 2 Georgia Bulldogs.
Shane Beamer has his guys. If you guys don't know the last name, he's of course he's a son of the legendary Virginia Tech legendary coach Frank Beamer. He's been playing. He has his guys been playing well. He's got his guys over at South Carolina buying him. So Georgia better be on the lookout because I'm sure he'll have his guys ready.
Let's go over to the primetime games for tomorrow. ABC 6:30 p.m. Chicago time. Number 22 Auburn will travel to Beaver Stadium and University Park to take on number 10 the Penn State Nittany Alliance. Say that 5 times fast. I think because of the commercial, Lakeena, and the whiteout, I'll be tuning in to at least the first 15-20 minutes. I'll be switching back and forth between that and the Sox game. White Sox game.
They Auburn's very interesting because they got a new coach there, and look, I know they played Akron, I should say, and Alcorn State, so this is going to be the first big test for them. Bo Nix needs to keep the interceptions down and not make a lot of mistakes, and because I'm sure they'll have. They'll be ready for that matchup, but I mean, look, I think they're going to keep it close. Brian Hartson, who this is his first year there, so I'm thinking he'll definitely have his. I think he coaches in the SEC, so I think he'll have his guys ready. But Penn State's going to be very tough, and I think they realize they're kind of in the driver's seat right now, being in the top 10. But again, you never know.
Virginia would go to Chapel Hill to take on the number 21 ranked North Carolina Tar Heels. Virginia, they beat the crap out of Illinois last Saturday. Will they have a letdown at North Carolina?
Yeah, well,
I had to get that in.
Well, it'll be interesting if they do have that sort of let down. They're going to the later games. You got Oklahoma State and Boise State on FS1 at 8 o'clock. That should be a fun one. Arizona State and BYU. That should be an interesting one there as well. Both teams.
Let's go, Herm Edwards.
Yeah,
you play to win the game.
Yeah. Well, Fresno State and UCLA. UCLA had a week off to kind of recover from that win against LSU. So that hopefully that'll kind of get them focused and ready for that game.
Chip Kelly, the big man on campus so far, 2-0.
Yeah, in the powder blue shirt. That I'm not gonna say the other word that Ed Orgeron said before that game, but because that's not very nice. But probably of course the big news in college football this week was Mike Bowe, who's the AD over at USC, has decided on Tuesday to fire head coach Clay Helton. Now there have been some various guys that are names have been floating around. Some have said maybe Luke Fickell, who Bone hired over at Cincinnati. He's over at Cincinnati. We talked about that. Mario Cristobal, which I don't think that's going to happen. He's got Oregon money. Oregon's got the Nike money, so there's no way that I doubt, unless it's for someone like Alabama or maybe Miami, where he won a national championship back in the early 90s. He might leave for that, but he's not leaving for USC. So when that news came out about Clay Helton being fired, I thought of two people. I thought of Chris Bleck, who was one of my first instructors over at then Illinois Center for Broadcast, now IMS. Also, who's a USC grad. Also, another USC grad we've had on the show. Hope we can get him on soon. He's a busy guy, so it's gonna be hard. But hopefully, maybe before the year is out, we'll have him on. Sean Salisbury, who of course quarterbacks. NFL veteran quarterback, also quarterback for the Trojans back in the early 80s. So what names do you think kind of stands as sort of like a potential target for Mike Bohn and USC?
I know some people have thrown around Eric Bieniemy's name, the former NFL running back, current offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs. I know he went to high school in the LA area. I know he said in the presser, I believe yesterday, that his focus is on the Chiefs, and it should be. But if he wants to do it, he can go do it. But I believe that he still wants to be a head coach in the NFL. There's nothing wrong with that. He has more than enough credentials to do that. Unfortunately, he's been the victim of the team's success, which is not a bad thing, but it's not a great thing if you want to be hired as an NFL head coach right now. I think this upcoming off season, I'm not going to say his last shot, but this will probably be his best and perhaps last shot at getting a head coaching job in the NFL. If he knows for certain that he's not going to get an NFL head coaching job this off season, he'll probably look at the USC job.
Well, yeah, like I said, I mean, he's from the area, so he went to school in the area, so maybe he knows a little bit about the area. It's interesting because I know Luke Fickell, like I said, I mean, Bone hired him over at Cincy. It didn't work out very well when he was at Ohio State because they were transitioning from Urban Meyer. Now he's got some coaching experience. He has a team that's in the top 10. Since he's going to be going to the Big 12 in a few years. So do you think, especially he also has young kids too. So you kind of wonder like, do I really want to, bring my kids in for that, in Los Angeles, in the Midwest, and things are more expensive in Los Angeles too. Same thing with Matt Campbell from Iowa State. I mean, his name's being floated around potentially as a head coach for SC. He's got, I think he's got 4 or 5 kids, and I don't know if he and his wife are the one to move their family there. Just a lot of pressure, but you never know. I mean, some of the names that are being thrown around, I think, is just a little. I think like half these names are probably. I saw like Josh McDaniels, who's the OC over at with the Patriots. I think that sounds a little bit out there, but I don't know. I mean, look, I'm sure there's a certain coach that's in Jacksonville right now. I'm sure that he said there's no chance. Yeah, okay. He kind of did like this, like sort of mumble. Well, no chance, and then he just left the room. It was just sort of like
that was all planned out. We know how these things go.
Okay, yeah, he's gonna. Yeah, okay. And plus, too, since allegedly his wife was, seen, looking at houses in Los Angeles when he was still over there doing, an analysis for Fox. But yeah, I mean, who the hell knows where this goes? I mean, ask him that question. Ask the question again in about a month. That's all I gotta say on that front.
Yep. You're listening to Second City Sports on another #Football Friday on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Lakeena McGee. I am Sydney Brown. Lakeena, let's close out this first hour with breaking news from last night. If you guys were watching that Washington football game against the New York Football Giants, of course, the Washington football team won on the last second field goal. But during halftime of that broadcast, it was announced that HBO and NFL Films will do their very first in-season Hard Knocks. This will be the first edition, as they will follow the 2021 Indianapolis Colts in season. And the series will run through the end of the season. And Lakeena, I know it's early in the season. I know we always say that this is the first 2 weeks are overreaction time for fans, critics, and everybody else in the NFL. But the Indianapolis Colts, I know they looked ugly against the Seattle Seahawks last Sunday. But I still believe this is going to be a good team this year. Hopefully they can focus. They're focusing on the more important players on the team. I know the star quarterback, always going to get the shine. So you're going to focus in on Carson Wentz. You're going to focus in on head coach Frank Wright. But let's focus in on that kicker with the Sally Jesse Raphael glasses. Let's focus in on Darius Leonard, and let's focus in on their running backs. And they had, as I know you were pumping the number on our podcast last year, that defense was a top 5 defense in the National Football League. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it done in the playoffs, but they have some intriguing personalities and young players on that team. So I think this was a good choice for HBO. Of course, the Colts have never been on Hard Knocks before, so this is their first time. So let's try it out with this team for our first ever in-season Hard Knocks.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that Frank Wright, but we know how much their GM Jim Irsay has a big vibrant personality. So I'm actually not surprised. Frank Wright's a little more. I don't want to say he's reserved. He's kind of like I don't want to say shy either, because he's actually pretty. When you talk to him, he's actually got a pretty good personality. It's actually pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, it's just sort of interesting that they would want to do this. But I guess, like you said, Rodrigo Blankenship, that's who says talk about their kicker, who's got the got the glasses and stuff like that. But I mean, it'll be. I think for folks who don't know the Colts, I mean, they could be like in a contending team in the AFC. So I think this is sort of like a smart thing. If you're the Colts, you get to know Carson Wentz, you'll get to know Jonathan Taylor, some of the O-line guys, Paris Campbell and those guys, all their defensive guys, Leonard and DeForest Buckner and those guys. And also it's sort of like it's gonna be very interesting to see what do they do. I mean, how much we're gonna see, how much access are they gonna have. In that sense, especially if they have a really bad loss. I mean, thankfully, we see when they got pummeled, and I do mean they did get pummeled by Seattle. So I know the scoring, looked a little bit closer, but that wasn't the case. So it's going to be very interesting though. This is an interesting concept that they're doing with the HBO is doing with their Hard Knocks. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, let's not forget Quentin Nelson as well. Whenever he returns to the field. And I know he's from. He was one of the top draft picks from the University of Notre Dame just 3 years ago. Lakeena bringing it back home to Chicago. Why can't the Bears be on Hard Knocks? I know they're one of a handful of popular teams that have never been on that series, along with Green Bay, the New York Football Giants. I know the Cowboys been on there 3 times. Of course, the year that Emmitt Smith broke Walter Payton's record, they were on there again a few years ago, and they were on again this past season. So I want to see the Chicago Bears get on Hard Knocks. Maybe if and when they'll move to Arlington Heights, they'll get that treatment. I don't know.
Yeah, it's good. It's gonna be pretty funny how they're gonna do this if the Bears decide to do it. But yeah, I mean, look, I think it'd be great if the Bears did do Hard Knocks. But like again, I think under this regime that'll probably never happen. So it's gonna be very interesting though to see what they do and just figure out like how they're gonna do this and everything. And like I said, it's gonna be very interesting how they do this whole this in-season style that they're doing because, like I said, HBO and Hard Knocks, they've never done this before, so it's gonna be interesting. Gonna be very interesting though to see how that goes. And look, I think people are gonna get to know the Colts and see what kind of team they are, and actually are pretty not only a pretty good team, but also got some really good personalities.
Yeah. Also, too, the only element that I noticed that jumped out at me, you're not gonna have the guy working at the grocery store or at the sanitation department that's trying to fight to make the roster. That element is gone since it's in season.
Yeah, that's good. That's gonna be kind of like the thing, right? You're not gonna get that that great surprise. There might be a guy there that got in the squad just
the
last
practice
minute.
Squad. Yeah, I was just getting ready to ask you. Yeah, maybe somebody come out the practice squad that'll replace that. That would be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Now, real quick before we go to break, let's talk about that Thursday night game. It actually ended up being a pretty thrilling game, even though it was a little chaotic, the ending. But Taylor Heineke, I think, continues to amaze.
Yeah,
and he is, look, I think he kind of bought himself some time again. I think, he threw that great pass to Peoples-Jones But then, he threw an interception to Bradbury while trying to get to Terry McLaurin. So, all types of emotions. You had Troy Aikman say some really nice things about you, but then you end up throwing something stupid and not run the ball. But yeah, luckily, Darius Lawrence, went offsides. How do you do that? How do you do that?
We took a page out of the Bears playbook last week with them not touching the receiver who was already on the ground, but that's
that's another. So the rule itself is a little bit weird, but yeah, Ricky Seals, I should say that too. Caught that great catch, the great pass from him. I think the catch is actually better than the throw. if you saw Buck and Aikman's reaction to it, I think their reaction to the throw, of course, Troy is a Hall of Fame quarter, but also to the catch. Seals-Jones' catch, it was just amazing. But what did you think about that game, real quick, before we go to break?
I didn't get a chance to watch it. I caught the highlights. Like I said, Taylor Heineke looked good. Antonio Gibson, who's on my fantasy team, only 69 yards. I need more from you, my man. I need more from you. That was my only concern. But for the New York Giants, as we said before, Daniel Jones, this is going to be the year if the Giants find out if he's their guy or not. I know Saquon Barkley is still working his way back from that torn ACL from a year ago. Their defense was actually not that bad last night, but that offense.
We got a lot of Giants
shaking your
fans.
head.
Yeah, I'm about to say we got Giants fans saying fire everybody, and they've been 0-2 since, of course, that famous picture with Odell Beckham Jr. and some of the others. Also, too, Darius Slayton dropped that which for sure touchdown catch, which could have changed the game, but it is what it is. All right, so we're gonna take a really quick break, but now we're gonna go into hour 2 of the show. We're gonna continue our Football Friday by previewing Bengals and Bears. We're also gonna do our week 2, I should say, picks with our good friend, Christine Manika of Manika. Sorry, Christine, if you're listening to this right now. Come on, I think I would know her name by now, but of KXRB in Dakota. So she's back getting back doing our picks here, which we really didn't do too well last week. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Like I didn't do well with my picks last week.
I'll wait till you get the numbers out when Christine comes on. I'm not even going to ask. So that.
Listen. The good news is that no one, everyone's close. Everyone's very close. So that's a
good thing here. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Even though we really didn't do it last week, but listen to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Hour 2 is coming at you. We're on the other side of this break.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. In Sunday's Major League Baseball action, the Cubs got pounded 9-1 at home against Kansas City. The White Sox shut out on the road 9-0 at Tampa. NFL preseason on Saturday, the Bills hammered the Bears 41-15. Andy Dalton, 11 of 17, passing 146 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Justin Fields, 9 of 19 for 80 yards. Head coach Matt Nagy says Dalton remains the Week 1 starter and that Fields is ahead of schedule.
When you look at a guy like Justin and you see the things that he's doing, are there some things that he can get better at? Yeah, for sure. That's going to be, we're going to say that 3 years from now. But at the same point in time, for him, there's also things that he's doing better probably than we thought coming into this, which is good too. Like that's what we want. We want that to happen.
Download the free Score app. Lightning fast updates so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
Blue Star medicated ointment works fast to relieve the pain and itch of almost any skin irritation.
It's amazing. It's like as soon as you put it on, you can feel it working. We've had Blue Star in the family for years. It works on everything.
I love the cooling sensation on my athlete's foot.
What a relief for my eczema.
Nothing worked on my dry, cracked skin until I tried Blue Star.
Blue Star is great for scalp itch.
Look for the white box with the Blue Star in the first aid section. Feel Blue Star work fast or your money back.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
To hour number 2 of hashtag Football Friday, baby, on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Miss Lakeena McGee, I am Sydney Brown. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and IG at CK80. Once again, at CK80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter and at Keena_McGee on the IG.
Download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps, including the Apple iTunes Store or Google Play. Make sure the app says Sports Zone Chicago. Follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Follow War Media at all social media platforms at WARR Media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And you can watch this show right now, Second City Sports, every Monday and Friday from noon to 2 p.m. right here on Sports Zone Chicago on our Facebook page at Sports Zone Chicago or on YouTube at Sports Zone Chicago. If you want to put in a question or a comment in our comment section, you can do so on our Facebook and YouTube pages. Post up your questions and comments. Lakeena will get them up on the air for you. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Speaking of support, the Chicago Bears will get it this coming Sunday afternoon, Lakeena, as they'll host the Cincinnati Bengals. And for the first time in 2 years, the Bears will have full capacity with fans in the stands. No restrictions, no requirements to get into the stadium. So Bears fans will be loud and ready to go. Of course, the Bears are coming off a 34-14 loss to the Los Angeles Rams last Sunday night, while the Bengals had an overtime win by a game-winning field goal over the Minnesota Vikings in their home opener last week. So the Bengals are 1-0 while the Bears are 0-1. Lakeena, the whispers are getting louder as we expected by the days that Justin Fields should be starting as soon as possible. As of right now, that's not happening. Andy Dalton will get the start against his former team. We talked about the game on our broadcast on Monday, The offense outside of David Montgomery and outside of that first drive, minus that first interception, did not look good. It was dink and dink.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to see more of the same on Sunday, even though Cincinnati's defense did get to Kirk Cousins about 3 or 4 times for sacks?
Mm-hmm.
It's not as good as the Rams defense is, but will we see more of the same game plan, Lakeena? Or do you think that head coach Matt Nagy will have the intelligent parts in his brain highlight and say, open it up a little bit? Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. Is it going to be like the Andy Dalton revenge game? I guess that's what people were playing off here. This is going to be his first time, I believe, facing his former team that he played there for I think about 8 or 9 years. He went to a couple of playoffs. But I mean, are we going to see more dinking and dinking or whatever they call, dink and dunk or Dunkin' whatever, Dunkin' Donuts? I don't know. But I mean, look. I mean, I know the Bengals are not going to have Ricardo Allen. He's on IR, but he's like one of the decent, secondary guys that they do have. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting, though. I mean, are they going to give Montgomery the ball more? They did it for a little bit, but then they kind of just stopped. I guess they kind of just gave up because the Rams were kind of, catching up to what they were doing. Robinson and Mooney, A-Rob and, Darnell Mooney. I mean, are they going to have to, are they going to have a big day to, from them? I mean, will the tight ends be a factor? Will Cole Kmet or, Jimmy Graham? Also, what about the defense? I mean, it looks like, Eddie Goldman's questionable as of this recording. I know Tayshaun Gibson's been banged up. Eddie Jackson. I mean, is he gonna be able to tackle anybody? And also, too, good luck, Hicks and Nichols and Mack, having to and Roquan having to slow down Joe Mixon, which is saying how good he runs when he's healthy. So, this game, like I said, like we were saying before when the schedule came up, I mean, this game's not a gimme for the Bears. I mean, I know people want to say it is, but since it's Cincinnati, but they actually got some players there in Cincinnati. As long as they keep Joe Burrow upright. And they did, I think he only got sacked once in their game against Minnesota last week. T. Higgins is really good. Jamar Chase had a good showing for his first game. Like I said, for the defense, I mean, they're kind of I don't want to say they're a bunch of no-name guys, but DJ Reader's been pretty good. Trey Hendrickson is another guy that's actually been pretty decent, but they're not like household names. So it's gonna be very interesting, though. It's gonna be very interesting this game because you really just don't know. This is one of those games where you just don't know what to do, what to think, I should say.
You're listening to Hashtag Football Friday on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid Lakeena here with you as we preview the Week 2 matchup between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Chicago Bears and the Bears home opener for the 2021 season. That game will kick off on Fox at noon on Sunday down on the lakefront. Kevin Kugler, Mark Sanchez, I believe Laura Goldman, Chicago's very own, will be doing the sidelines for that game. So you watch that game on Fox. Lakeena, take a look at the rankings from a week ago. The Bears are 26th in offense in the National Football League. Their defense is ranked 16th. Passing is 26th and rushing is 12th. On the flip side, Cincinnati's offense is ranked 23rd. The defense is 20th. The passing is 24th, but their rushing offense is ranked 9th. Now, Joe Mixon is going to be the key, I believe, for the Bears to stop it. The Bears are going to win. You mentioned Eddie Goldman said about that knee. He didn't play last week. It looks like as of right now, he's not going to play this week. Joe Mixon had over 29 carries for over 100 yards last week and then win over Minnesota. Everything starts and goes with him. We'll get to a second-year quarterback, Joe Burrow, in just a moment. But what makes this engine go for the Cincinnati offense we saw last week against Minnesota is Joe Mixon. And we talked about it last week as well. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's going to be, can they slow down Mixon? Like I said, I mean, he's one of those guys, when healthy, is one of the best. Like I said, he's one of the top, I want to say he's one of the top 10 running backs, but he's definitely right there in the middle tier. So that's going to look, especially if it gets that front seven, Darnell Henderson made him look, Junior made himself look good against the Bears, that front seven last Sunday night, I should say. So it's going to be very interesting to see what, how they're going to attack that front seven's going to attack Joe Mixon. Are they going to have to depend on Burrow to throw the ball more? And I think they're not going to want to do that, but can that O-line keep him upright? Can Tyler Boyd and Chase and Higgins, can those guys be factors in case, that the Bears can slow down Mixon? I mean, that's going to be the key. I mean, are they going to, try to force us to the point where they're going to have to maybe perhaps, have Burrow depend on the, throw the ball more, which I don't think they want to, but if they make the running game a non-factor, they may do that. But again, we just don't know. This is one of those I don't know games. I don't know who I'm going to pick. We just don't know.
Let's focus in on Cincinnati Bengals rookie wide receiver Jamar Chase. He had a great debut, 5 catches for 101 yards in a score in last week's win over Minnesota. Him and Joe Burrow played together in college down there at LSU. Lakeena, I assume that Jalen Johnson of the Bears is going to shadow him and cover him for the majority of the game. If that's the case, it opens it up for Tyler Boyd, and it opens up for Joe Mixon in the passing game from the running back position if Jamar Chase is shut down. If that's the case, Lakeena, it's going to be a long day for the Bears, but if the Bears cannot stop the run, it's really going to be a long day. I think this is what's going to come down to for the Bears defense. And let's see if Khalil Mack, can we hear his name being called besides being blocked and triple teamed a couple of times? I want to see some pressure on the quarterbacks from the defensive line. And we talked about this last week. The secondary is only as good as your defensive line. If your defensive line is not doing this job, your secondary will get exposed. I know everybody in the city has been beating up Eddie Jackson, the Bears safety, and rightfully so. I want to see somebody else from the secondary make some plays as well.
And I think that's going to be the thing, because it's going to be a long day for the Bears if Chase and Higgins and if they can. If that's going to be sort of like the thing where, like, will Burrow try to expose that secondary for the Bears? Because it's not that good, unfortunately. You got to think, like, okay, yeah, I think they're going to take turns, blocking Jamar Chase, and that's going to be a tough task. I don't care who you are, but it's going to be, that's going to be the thing where I think if they do the same thing, if the Bengals can do the same thing that the Rams did, kind of like exposing, the deficiencies in that secondary, it's going to be a long day for the Bears. Just whether Justin Fields plays, yes, that's sort of like the thing. But again, that might not be the issue. But
what are your guys' thoughts on the Bears and Bengals matchup for Week 2? Will the Bears get back on track to get their first win of the season, or will they go 0-2? You can post your comments on our Facebook page at Sports Zone Chicago and on our YouTube page at Sports Zone Chicago. Place your comments and your predictions, your final scores of this Sunday's Bears game. We'll get them on the air for you. Shout out to Antoine Showtime Ward. He says, what up, guys? The Bears D-line should be able to get some pass rush against that young offensive line on the Bengals. They should. And if they stop the run, like you mentioned, Antoine, that pressure should come on Joe Burrow early. I know Minnesota had some success in that game last week in the first quarter, but after that, Cincinnati did tighten things up. They were able to score on that struggling Vikings defense. Lakeena, let's go back to the offensive side of the ball for the Bears. Cole Kmet finally got his shine with 5 catches. Jimmy Graham with 1 catch from the tight end position. I want to see if Matt Nagy can actually open it up to the tight end position again. Right. And David Montgomery, will we see more receptions, opportunities for him from the passing game perspective? He should get the ball between 20 and 25 times rushing the ball. That's without question.
Yeah, he should. He should. But will he, though? That's going to be the issue there. Because, like I said.
Exactly. That's $1,000 question.
Yeah, I'll say, yeah. I mean, that's going to be the thing where if he is going to be the factor here, if they're going to make him a factor, are they going to, push the ball down the field and keep, Burrow and Chase and the rest of the Cincinnati offense off the field? That's probably going to be the $1 million question. But, I mean, like I said, the O-line shouldn't really have any problems because that's a very young defensive line that, like I said before, and a lot of no-name guys, so they really shouldn't have a problem. But again, you never know with this Bears team. So I think it's going to be a very close game. Like I said, it's not going to be a gimme. Again, we'll save our picks, on the other side of the break. But I just don't trust this Bears team at this point. I don't. Like, I know people are chanting, Justin Fields, get him out there. But look, if your defense is not gonna, slow down that offense of the Bengals, that's gonna be the least of your problems.
That's our question for you, the Bears fan, this half hour. Should Justin Fields be on the field sooner rather than later? We know that he's not going to start this Sunday. It'll be Andy Dalton, the former Bengals quarterback, in and start against his former team. When do you guys think that Justin Fields will be on the field? Will it be next week in Cleveland? Will it be 2 weeks from now, as yours truly said, against the Detroit Lions? or will it be the following week in the second game in October when the Bears travel to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders? What do you guys think? When will we see Justin Fields on the field as the full-time starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears? Place your comments in our comment section on Facebook at Sports Zone Chicago or here on YouTube at Sports Zone Chicago. Place your comments in the comment section. We'll get them up on the air for you. And Showtime Ward has chimed in again. Shout out to Showtime Ward. How do you guys feel Matt Nagy inserting Fields the way that he did in game one? As I said last week, if you're going to utilize Fields, put him to run in the red zone offense. That's a good idea, Showtime, but I want to see Fields in for a whole series. Now, will they happen this Sunday? Who knows? Me personally, selfishly, I hope that it does, but if not, your idea is correct, Showtime. Let's see him in the red zone. That gives the Bears more options, and they'll make them more of a dangerous threat to score points. Because remember, Lakeena, we talked about this last week as well. The Bears have been up and down the last couple of years in terms of putting up touchdowns in the red zone and putting Mr. Fields in. If you're not going to use them for a series, put them in red zone opportunities. That gives your team, it increases your chances that much more for your team to put up points on the board. I'm talking about touchdowns, not field goals.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting, though, if they do. It worked last week against the Rams, but again, the problem is that they didn't get that close to the red zone anymore after that. So
exactly,
that's going to be sort of like the thing. Do you really want to? Are they going to do dinks? Are they going to do like jet sweeps? I mean, like you have a guy that can run, so you're not going to be. You don't want to have to do all that. But I think at this point, look, I just want to see what the game plan is, and look, if you heard Bill Lazor's comments, he didn't look very confident, and I think there seems to be like some division in the locker room that there are some guys that probably want Justin Fields to start, depending on how you look at it. But again, you just don't know at this point, and I kind of feel like. It's not against Andy Dalton personally, but I'm sure they feel like maybe Justin Fields gives them a better chance to win. And as they get closer and closer to the season, especially the Bears aren't going to do well, do not have a good record. It's going to be, you're definitely going to see some division in the locker room, I think.
I'll say this before we close out this portion of our Bears preview, our Bengals preview. If the Bears lose on Sunday, the whispers will become angry chants, louder and louder for Fields to get in the game in terms of starting and taking the helm forward. Now, if they get blown out here, it's really going to get ugly, and head coach Matt Nagy will have something more on the plate than just worrying about winning the next game, because people might say that he's playing this right in terms of having Justin Fields ready, but if they lose ugly on Sunday, you may have to change those plans. So, but all this can calm down for a week if the Bears win. As Lakeena mentioned, we'll give you our picks in our next segment with Christine Manika. But I'm not going to say the season is on the line, but people's jobs on the line is on the line this Sunday, and this game will be in part, not everything, but be in part to where the Bears are headed moving forward. Because we already said this season is a watch, because both of us don't have them going to playoffs, and rightfully so, despite what happened last Sunday night. But what happens on Sunday will determine what this Bears franchise what will happen to this franchise going forward on the field.
Yeah, and our buddy Showtime once again timed in. He didn't, Dalton didn't do a horrible job of moving the ball down the field. The play calling just needs to be better. I think both can be true, Twan. I think that's going to be sort of like the thing. Yeah, he didn't do a bad job. He ran for like 12 yards. He ran for he got first downs, but he ran like 12 yards to get the first down. So, I think the play calling it might be both. Who knows? Like I said, know your personnel, but. And also, too, some breaking news, came across the wires. Eddie Goldman is doubtful with that knee injury. He was limited in practice today. Also, too, questionable. You got Robert Quinn, Jason Peters, Marquise Goodwin, and also Darnell Mooney. So a lot of guys are questionable for the Bears. That's not good. So, again, there's actually more, but we'll get to that in a second when we do our picks. But I don't know, Sid. I mean, I kind of feel like we're sort of, is he is Dalton on a short leash? I don't see it, but you tell me.
Maybe he will be. I don't know. Who knows? The Bears are so secretive. They can't mess this up, can they?
Can they? Can they mess up? Like I said, these aren't the Bengals teams like a few years ago where they're terrible. I mean, like I said, I'm not saying they would have made the playoffs, but I think they were kind of would have gotten close to 500. They could have finished 7-9 or something like that had Burrow not gotten hurt. So
yeah,
that's like I said, this is not a gimme. But again, you just don't know, and I don't know what to expect from this Bears team. I don't.
Like I said, outside of David Montgomery, I don't know.
Nobody knows.
Like I said, will Matt Nagy open up the playbook a little bit more? Because outside of going to Antoine's last comment, the play calling actually wasn't bad, especially in that first drive outside the interception. But it was just dink and dink. Shout out to our good friends Matt Peck and Big Dave Watson on their Hot Mic segment last week. I watched it on YouTube, but it was dink and dink from there on after. And will the Bears take chances down the field? That's the $1 million question. You mentioned Ricardo Allen, the former Atlanta Falcon, is out. So and Minnesota took a couple of chances last week, and it paid off for him, especially on that second touchdown to Adam Thielen late in that first half. But will the Bears do that? Andy Dalton, I know he doesn't have the greatest arm in the world, but can he at least throw a 30-yard pass down the field to Allen Robinson? You would hope they could do that this week. You think? But
I mean, you hope so, but again,
it sounds like we're talking about a high school team here. Yeah. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's just hilarious though, and you kind of, and like you said, I mean, you kind of feel like, okay, are we gonna? Like I said, it's gonna be an adventure regardless, right? I think we're definitely gonna see how the play calling is, how the defense plays, because I think. I see your buddy Twan said the next game should be a manageable one for both sides of the ball for the Bears, which is why we're all looking at this game as a must-win.
Yes, it is a must-win for the Bears. Because it's heaven forbid, I do mean heaven forbid, they get embarrassed at home in front of fans. In that home opener, it's going to get ugly real quick. So we'll see what happens on Sunday at noon on Fox on the Lakefront. Lakeena, quickly before we lose our minds, we'll make our picks in the next segment. But what other games that you are looking forward to on Sunday in week 2 in the National Football League?
I have Rams and Colts should be a fun one. I mean, you're doing like the whole traveling cross country. I know the Colts are going to want to kind of get back on track, but this is a Rams team that I feel like is on a mission. And we got Matt Stafford is going to be playing very comfortable playing a controlled environment. I mean, this is probably one of my toss-up games because, of course, you're traveling cross country and this and that with the Rams, but I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be a blowout, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams hammer the Colts. I mean, I did not like what I see from the Colts last week, so that's gonna be very interesting. Let's see, San Francisco and Philadelphia.
I'm really looking forward to that one. Chicago's very own Adam Amin, TV voice for the Bulls. He'll be Chicago Bulls. He'll be calling that game for Fox. So I think most of the country will get that game.
Yeah, I think so too. Vegas and Pittsburgh, Raiders in Pittsburgh. Raiders off that big win, coming off a short week, having to play Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh kind of feels like, since they beat Buffalo, they kind of feel like they're sort of like shredding along. It's always interesting when these two teams play against each other. That should be a fun one.
Yeah, first game of the doubleheader on CBS on Sunday.
Yeah, New Orleans and Carolina. I mean, that might be interesting too because of the fact that I don't think Carolina. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be a blowout either because I feel like how are we gonna get bad Jameis? I think that's the thing that Saints fans are gonna be worried about. Are we gonna get the bad Jameis, if you will? The first game in the 3:00 slate, Minnesota and Arizona. That's gonna be the Fox single-headed Fox game. The Vikings have already ruled out. Listen to this: Anthony Barr, Christian Darrisaw, Everson Griffin, and Harrison Hand. So. That's not good if you're a Vikings fan.
Not good at all. And of course, Falcons Buccaneers at the same time on Fox. Greg Olson will be doing that game for Fox along with Kevin Burkhardt and Pam Oliver. The Falcons looked bad last week in that whole opener against the Eagles in a loss. Of course, the Buccaneers got by the Cowboys last Thursday night. And the 3:25 game on CBS, most of the nation will get this game. It's the Dallas Cowboys at the Los Angeles Chargers. And then, of course, Sunday night, Chiefs and Baltimore Ravens. I really look forward to that one.
Oh, that Sunday nighter should be a lot of fun, and also to the Monday nighter, shouldn't be too bad. I mean, I'm thinking that Aaron Rodgers is gonna go on his revenge tour, so I'm thinking that maybe I think maybe the Packers. I'm not gonna say they're gonna hammer the Lions, but I think that we may see a big game from him. Just saying, but. You never know in the NFL.
Yeah, Lions head coach Dan Campbell, I think he'll keep the jokes to a 0. Actually, the last couple of times that the Lions played the Packers on Monday Night Football has been classic games.
Yes, they have. So will we get a classic one?
Like you say, will we get another classic one? Will we get an upset? I doubt it, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, should be. Yeah, that should be a fun one there. And also, of course, the Manning Bros will be doing, the simulcast on ESPN2. That's going to be another Manning Bros game. I can only imagine what Eli's going to say since he's faced both these teams multiple times. So that should be. I can only imagine what the stories he's going to share. But yeah, that should be a fun one too. Real quick though, as we go outside of the NFL before we go to break, because I don't think we'll have time to talk about this when we do our picks, but. Shout out to Lisa Bryant, to Chicago's very own. She's been named the lead play-by-play person over with the Milwaukee Bucks. She will actually be the first female to ever, be the lead play-by-play voice in one of the men's professional sports. So that's congrats to her, and definitely deserving.
Yes. Yeah, she's also been a sideline reporter for Turner Sports for March Madness, and she did some work for Big Ten Network for college basketball and college football. So you Milwaukee Bucks fans, you guys are lucky. So you should enjoy her broadcast. So she'll be doing TV work for the Milwaukee Bucks for Bally Sports Wisconsin. So that should be a whole lot of fun. And as we see more women in lead roles, not just sideline reporting, but in analyst roles, and now hopefully you can get more in TV voice roles permanently, not just in temp roles.
All right, we got our buddy Christina Manika, I should say.
It's okay. Everybody messes it up.
Okay. Over from KXRB joining us a little early. So real before we go to break, before we do our picks here, what sports headlines kind of caught your eye this week?
Me? Oh gosh. I gotta say what Sid was talking about, the Bucks announcing her as the new play-by-play person. That's awesome. I always support women in sports. In fact, I'm doing some volunteer work back here in Sioux Falls, coaching young girls in sports, like for running and stuff like that. And it's all about that female empowerment. So props to her. I think that's a pretty cool story. I also think Christian Yelich buying those 10,000 tickets for fans coming up. That's a pretty unexpected story, and it just shows the type of guy that he is. And then the one yesterday that I heard Tom Brady saying that he can play till he's 50.
Yeah, there's a scary thought. And he could do that too. That's the scary part. He could do it.
Yeah, right.
How much steroids he's on?
It's all about that TB12 mentality, I think. Whatever type of program he's on.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. All right, folks, we're going to take a really quick break. We're going to do our week 2 picks. None of us did very well in week 1, but the good news is that we're all like a game of each other. So, that's a good thing. So we're going to take a really quick break. We're going to do our week 12 picks NFL with our buddy Christine Manika from KXRB coming up next. This is Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, and we'll see you in just about a minute.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. In Sunday's Major League Baseball action, the Cubs got pounded 9-1 at home against Kansas City. The White Sox shut out on the road 9-0 at Tampa. NFL preseason on Saturday, the Bills hammered the Bears 41-15. Andy Dalton, 11 of 17 passing, 146 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Justin Fields, 9 of 19 for 80 yards. Head coach Matt Nagy says Dalton remains the Week 1 starter and that Fields is ahead of schedule.
When you look at a guy like Justin and you see the things that he's doing, are there some things that he can get better at? Yeah, for sure. That's going to be, we're going to say that 3 years from now. But at the same point in time, for him, there's also things that he's doing better probably than we thought coming into this, which is good too. Like, that's what we want. We want that to happen.
Download the free Score app. Lightning fast updates so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
Blue Star medicated ointment works fast to relieve the pain and itch of almost any skin irritation.
It's amazing. It's like as soon as you put it on, you can feel it working. We've had Blue Star in the family for years. It works on everything.
I love the cooling sensation on my athlete's foot.
What a relief for my eczema.
Nothing worked on my dry, cracked skin until I tried Blue Star.
Blue Star is great for scalp itch.
Look for the white box with the blue star in the first aid section. Feel Blue Star work fast or your money back.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Welcome. Yeah, go ahead, Lakeena.
No, you go ahead.
Welcome. Yeah, we do this all the time.
I know. Our signals are cross. It's weird.
Welcome back to our last segment of the show on this hashtag Football Friday on Sports Zone Chicago, Second City Sports. Sid, Lakeena here with you. We're joined by our weekly NFL picks analyst, Miss Christine Manika from KXRB Radio in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, as she waits to our faithful fans on the YouTube. Lakeena, give us the records from last week. You said it wasn't pretty good. It was not that great, but how bad was it?
It wasn't as bad. I mean,
okay.
Like I said,
that's a good thing.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, like 9. Yeah, I said I think you're in the lead with 9. Christine and I
yes!
have 8. We have 8. But the good news is that we're all like a game apart, so it's still very early
for the first week. I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm about to say,
but they're coming after you.
I love the trash talk already.
Hey, to you young folks out there, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. We got a long way to go, my sister. I love it, but we got a long way to go.
Yeah,
you deal with the mess over here.
Yeah, there were a couple of games that killed us, that killed all 3 of us. But you know what though, like you said, it's only week 1, so get the cakes out. Let's get right to it. A pretty good one here in the AFC East. You got the Patriots and the New York Jets. Christy, you can go first.
Oh, I'm honored to go first for this one. The Jets, they haven't had the best games in the last season alone. That speaks for itself. And, I see a lot of promise in Mac Jones. So I'm going to go for the Patriots on this one and say New England.
I'm going with New England. Mac Jones did show some promise after that turnover last week. They should have won that game against the Miami Dolphins, but the Dolphins did enough in the last seconds to survive there. Zach Wilson on the flip side for the Jets, he didn't look that great. Maybe he'll look a little bit better since this will be the Jets' home opener. Their defense is actually not that bad, even though they're suffering injuries. But I think Mac Jones will thrive off of what he did in that second half last week in that loss. So I'm going with the Patriots, but it should be a close game.
Yeah, it's always a close game between these two teams, right? These are 2 divisional rivals. So I'm going to pick the Patriots just because they probably should have won last week against the Dolphins. Yeah. So but it's going to be a close one though, as it usually is between these 2 teams. So I'm saying a really good one here now. There's another new game on CBS. Actually, our buddy Spiro Dees and Jay Feely will be calling this one. We got Denver and the Jags. Whether or not Urban Meyer will still be the head coach by the end of this month, but that's a whole other story. So Sid, you start.
I like what the Denver Broncos did last week on the road against the Giants. Even though that was a late game, they're going on the road to the East Coast again, but this time for an early game. I don't think the time zone difference will matter. Trevor Lawrence looked like a rookie quarterback. That's why I expected. I expect them to play a little bit better, but I like the Broncos defense just that much more better. And Teddy Bridgewater didn't turn the ball over. He did what he had to do. He was efficient. I expected the Broncos to have the same game plan this Sunday on the road again. They're going 2-0. I got Denver.
Yeah, I'm picking Denver too. I kind of feel, I know Judy is done for the year, but I feel like I trust them a little more than I trust the Jags.
Yeah, I'm with you guys too. It's got to be Denver. I've been getting so much flack at work for saying Trevor Lawrence, he's not going anywhere. He's going to be the flop. But no, he looked like a rookie. And what do you expect? It's his first big time game. I believe I saw that was his first regular season game that he lost between high school and college.
Yep.
So yeah, last week is going to humble him a little bit and kind of knock him down a few pegs. So, and with Bridgewater, again, he's just getting back into that role of being a starting quarterback. He hasn't been used to that in a long time. So, of course, he'll make a few mistakes here or there. But when it comes down to it, Bridgewater's got more over Lawrence, I think. So it's got to be Denver.
All right, moving on to another great AFC East matchup. We got the Bills and the Dolphins. I'll start right off the bat. I think the Bills are not going to be in a very good mood. Will Fuller's out for the Dolphins, so I'm going to pick the Bills. They're going to bounce back, and they're going to, they're not going to be in a very good mood. So I'm going to say that the Bills are going to beat the Dolphins, pulling away late, though. It won't be a blowout, but I think they are, because these two teams actually have played, very close games. But I think Bills are going to pull away late, I think.
Yeah, it's got to be the Bills, too. Miami, I think, got lucky last week. So I'm going with the Bills for this one.
Buffalo for me.
All right. Oh, I love it. A unanimous pick.
Easy.
Yeah. You gotta love those. Gotta love those. This is gonna be a little bit tougher though. You got the 49ers and the Eagles next up.
Oh gosh.
Sid, you start.
I think this is the one I kind of struggled with too. Like I have a big circle on it for my notes, but I'm going to say Jalen Hurts did not have a bad outing last week for the Eagles.
Right.
So because of that and his big, show, I'll take Philadelphia for this one.
As usual, Christine's stealing my picks. I'm going with Philadelphia as well. Jalen Hurts, as you mentioned, didn't play bad last week. He actually had 3 touchdown passes, but it was Philadelphia's defensive front led by Fletcher Cox. And I expect that to continue for Philadelphia. It's going to come down to the running game. On the flip side, the 49ers are starting to get the injury bug again. Raheem Mostert, their starting running back, is out for the year. Greenlaw, who had that pick 6 last week at Detroit, he's injured. He's out for a while. So the 49ers will have to go back on to the East Coast again. They did it last year, even though there was no fans in the stands, and they survived it before all the injuries started to take place. But this year, things are going to be a little bit different by the Bay. I'm going with Philadelphia.
There's a lot of excitement, with Philly, so especially since they know that that's a winnable division in the NFC East as it usually is. So, but like you said, so the injuries too. I'm gonna be unanimous too. Like I'm gonna pick the Eagles, just because I think Jalen Hurts looked good, and too many injuries though are piling up again for the 49ers, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I'll definitely be watching this game live via my computer.
Well, this is another game I'm going to be watching live, Rams and Colts. So this is one of those games that I had a really hard time picking, but I'm going to pick the Rams, mainly because I don't know what I'm going to get for the Colts at this point. I know they're still they're a little bit banged up too still, but it's going to be a fun game. So I'm going to pick the Rams in a close one.
Christine?
I'll go with the Rams too, just because we saw what Stafford did last week with his new crew. So yeah, it's the Rams. The Colts, I'm just waiting to see what happens since it's still kind of early.
I'm going to surprise you guys. I'm going with the Colts. They were humbled. Yep, I'm going with the Colts.
Why?
Because I said so, young lady. That's why. No. So all these young folks talking that trash already. No, but I'm going with the Colts because they were humbled last week. They got to a bad start. I think Carson Wentz has learned his lesson. The Colts have to run the football. They have to run the football, and the defense has to force turnovers. And they do not want to go 0-2, especially you losing the first 2 games at home. So I'm going with the Colts in a shocker.
What would be that be of a shock, though? I don't think.
Yeah, really.
Excuse me. Raiders and Steelers, another good one. Sid, you start.
The Raiders, they got lucky with the touchdown being called back in overtime, and they survived that by beating Baltimore at home. It was actually a great crowd, great game to watch. Pittsburgh, they dominated last week at Buffalo. This is their home opener. It's going to be kind of sort of close, but I expect Pittsburgh to battle defensively. I think they'll get a couple of late scores. So I'm going with Pittsburgh at home in their home opener.
Christine?
It's gonna be a close one too. I'm sorry, Lakeena. Did you want to go?
No. You go ahead. No, you go. That's how you go.
It's gonna be a close one. They definitely show the Steelers that they can have a comeback and kind of come out from behind, but it's gonna be a close one. I'll go Steelers.
It's going to be a very close one, too. I'm going to echo everything you guys said. But I'm going to pick the Steelers, too. There's going to be no letdown for them. And the Raiders might still be on a little bit of a high from that, lucky win against the Ravens. Oh, well, I'll get to that in a second. But, yeah, I think it's going to be the Steelers. It's going to be a close one. An intriguing one here. You got the Texans and the Browns.
Intriguing?
Well, okay. I'll start off. I'll say it like this. I mean, the Texans, okay, if Tyrod Taylor, yes, he wasn't, very flashy, he did what he supposed to do. Like, I think Cleveland's not going to be in a very good mood either because I feel like that Chiefs game, slipped away from them and they know it. So the Texans will keep it close, but I think the Chiefs are going to pull away the second. The Browns, I should say, will pull away the second half.
Cleveland rocks. Shout out Drew Carey.
Is that your pick, Sid? Then you're gonna go with Cleveland?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I'll go with Cleveland too. Not because Baker is one of my fantasy guys, but because you can't doubt Baker either. And with Houston, again, that they're not the same with JJ Watt. So they're not the same without JJ Watt, I should say. So it's got to be Baker and the Browns.
All right, an interesting one here in the NFC South. You got the Saints and the Panthers, both 1-0. Christine, you start.
I gotta say, I love watching them cream Green Bay. That was icing on the cake for me. There's nothing more that I love than seeing that. With that being said, I think I'm gonna go with New Orleans for this one.
Okay. All right, Sid?
I will go with the Saints.
I'll go with the Saints, too. I kind of feel like this won't be a letdown for them. I think, Sean Payne is going to make sure that their team still focused. I'm sure Jameis wants to show that wasn't a fluke. So so I'm going to pick the Saints as well. But it's going to be close, too.
Yeah, I'm surprised Lakeena always says those 9, 6, 10, 7 type games. Pre-1990s football.
Yeah. That might be the case here. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right, the first of the 3 o'clock matchups. You got the Vikings and the Cardinals. Like I said earlier, unfortunately, the Vikings are going to be without like half their front seven of apparently Everson.
That's fine.
Yeah. Go ahead, Christine.
Horrible.
No, you're no. But unfortunately, Everson Griffin got into a car accident. He was avoiding a deer, so he got a concussion. That's why he's not going to be able to play.
Gosh, never mind.
On Sunday.
I feel bad for saying that now.
Yeah. Apparently, he's trying to avoid a deer, and he swerved, and he hit his head, and now he's got a concussion, so now he's not going to be able to play. But I'm still gonna look. I learned about this for last week. Sorry, Arizona Cardinals. I'm sorry. You're my I am so sorry. I pumped you guys up last year. Kyler Murray is gonna have a big game. That defense is gonna swallow up Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook. So I'm gonna pick the Cardinals. I would be surprised if it's a blowout.
Yeah, this is going to be the debut of the all-brother crew, as I'll call them, Gus Johnson and Aqib Talib. I think that's going to be the most entertaining part of this game. Exactly. As far as my pick, I'm going with Arizona in their home opener.
After watching Minnesota last week, there is no chance they're winning this game. I mean, when you have 4 turnovers in the first 2 minutes, 3 of them being false starts, that's just awful. That's worse than what the Bears did on Sunday Night Football. So I'm going to go and say, Arizona. No question.
All right, next up here, another NFC South matchup. We got the Falcons and the Tampa Bay Bucks.
I'll definitely be watching this game live via my computer. I think Atlanta will show up. I think they'll play better, but Tampa Bay is just a little bit better than the Falcons. I'm going with Brady and his Buccaneers crew, so I'm going with Tampa.
Here's to 6 more years of Tom Brady in his 50s. So I'm going with Tom Brady and the Bucks for this one.
Atlanta will keep it close, but I think Tampa's going to end up winning the game late.
Yeah.
All right, you got the 3:25, the second half of the double headers here. These next couple of games, you got the Titans and the Seahawks.
Yours surely needs Ryan Tannehill as of now to play better. He's my starting quarterback in fantasy football. Tennessee was embarrassed last week. I think they will play better, but you got that other guy that's a little bit better than you, Tannehill. His name is Mr. Russell Wilson. This is Seattle. And he said Christine is a big Russell Wilson fan.
I am. He's my starting QB for fantasy. And
you mentioned Mayfield?
No, Wilson.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You in 2 leagues?
Well, technically.
Okay. Russell Wilson, Seattle did a heck of a job last week at Indianapolis. I can see them, and they will do it again against Tennessee. It's going to be a much closer game, but Seattle will pull this one out probably by about a field goal of 4 points.
The hype that Russell had during that game last week, I felt that energy. Again, it's going to be a close one, but you know what? That energy just pulls me into Seattle. So it's got to be Seattle for me.
Yeah, I think Seattle. I think they got the energy right now. The Titans, I still don't know.
They're favored by 3.5.
Yeah, so I think the Titans are. Yeah, I think the Titans. I don't know what they're going to do with the offense. Like, hey, you have Derrick Henry here, folks. I mean, give him the ball. I know they got a new OC, but I think Seattle. I think will. Well, it'll be close. But like I said, I think Seattle will do just enough to win that game. An intriguing one here. You got the Cowboys and the Los Angeles Chargers. That's a 3:25 game where I think most of the country will get that game. But I'm gonna pick the Chargers. Look, the Cowboys. Lawrence is gonna be out. They got a couple of injuries. Zeke's banged up. So I like the Chargers. I like what they're doing. Remember when people have been saying that this is going to be kind of like the team that the trending team they're playing like it. So I think Herbert's going to have another big game. The defense is going to slow down that Dak in the offense. So I think the Chargers probably win this pretty handily.
I liked what I saw from the Cowboys last weekend. So I'm going to go with Dallas just because I feel like Dak has that newly refined energy in him after being injured last season. So I think the Cowboys are coming back. So I'm going with Dallas.
Smart girl, Christina. You stole my pick again. # Dak is back. I'm going with the Cowboys. Enough said.
Okay, I'll be by myself. It's fine. I'll be on my own. It's okay. The Sunday nighter, you got the Chiefs and the Ravens. Thanks a lot, Ravens defense, for costing my loss in fantasy by like 0.3 points. Y'all couldn't have gotten another freaking interception, really. But unfortunately, though, with the serious with the injuries are starting to pile up for the Ravens again. So I'm not going to say it's going to be a blowout, but I think the Chiefs win this one pretty handily.
I will go with the Chiefs for this one too. It's another tough call, but I think the Chiefs got it.
I'm going with Kansas City as well. It was a heartbreaking loss by Baltimore last week. They did battle back, but their issue is with the running game. You have to depend on Lamar Jackson to carry you through everything. It's going to take a toll on him. And we're going to see some of that on Sunday. So Kansas City, they're on another mission right now, and they're riding high off that comeback in the second half against the Browns last week.
All right, a battle here in the NFC North for the Monday nighter. You got the Lions and the Packers. These two teams always have, like, for some reason, something weird happens. Whenever these two teams play each other, especially in a Monday night setting. So But I think Aaron Rodgers will bounce back. I think the Packers will win this one. Although Detroit is going to take a cue from their head coach Dan Campbell, and they're going to grind it out. This might be one of those 9-6 type games, 6-3 type games.
Pre-1990s football.
Yeah, probably
going back to the 60s.
Oh gosh, yeah, you might.
If Green Bay doesn't win the game now, I'll be shocked. That's for sure. But, you can't underestimate Aaron Rodgers. He's got a fire lit under him right now. And Detroit is so unsteady as it is. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they're going to come back. So, Green Bay.
I'm going with the Packers, but hopefully we get a classic game. As we mentioned, Lakeena, in our last segment, could Detroit shock the world? Could they?
Absolutely.
Sure, why not?
I mean, weirder things could happen. I mean, if the Green Bay Packers basically got blown out, anything is possible.
Yeah, like Kyrie Irving says, the world is flat at this point. He'll probably be falling off his axis.
Right, exactly.
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. It's going to get crazy. So, last but not least, you got the Bengals and the Bears.
We can skip them. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to skip them because I really don't know. This is one of those toss-up games. Like I just don't know. I mean, the Bears could get could win this in a game-winning field goal. Sure. Could they get blown out? Again, sure. I would be surprised. Yeah, I mean, look, I think either scenario could happen. So, Sid, I'll start with you. What do you think is going to happen in this game?
The number one trend usually when a team that loses in prime time, they show up to play better the next week. You mentioned Lakeena, Eddie Goldman was limited in practice this week. And hopefully Justin Fields will get on the field more than 6 or 7 plays. Hopefully they give him a series. But with all that being said, this probably be the only time until the foreseeable future, until Justin Fields gets in there full time, that I'm going to take the Bears. I'm going to step out and take the Bears. But as you said, Lakeena, they can win this by a field goal. I know they favor by 4 points. I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I would not take the Bears in the points. Just saying. But maybe that line will move by the time we get closer to game time. But I'll take the Bears in the last second field goal. Now, this game will probably get ugly in terms of the score.
Yeah, that's probably.
So,
I'll put my money on that.
I
can see a 13-10 game or a 16-13 game.
For the first 2 minutes of the game last week for Sunday Night Football. I was at this place called Great Shots, and it was a nice big screen. There was a great crowd, and I'm like, yeah, this is going to be great. The first 2 minutes, awesome. After that, I don't remember, just because it was that bad. And because I cannot underestimate Joe Burrow, I'm going to go with the Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing this coin flip thing. I mean, look, I guess against my better judgment, I'm going to pick the Bears, to win this just because I don't know why. I don't know. I might be, I got the air on, so this might be like my brain might be freezing right now. But I just are we gonna have how did Mark Sanchez do in his first game? Because I didn't get a chance to listen to him. I forgot which game that they were calling here. Now, is he gonna be yelling for Justin Fields too? I mean, it's gonna be one of those things. Is someone going to be on the?
Okay, I heard more about the Manning brothers that
right.
I think the fire alarm went off or something.
Yes,
that's true.
I didn't see the video, but that's what I heard.
Yeah,
maybe Fox should borrow that sound when Justin Fields comes to the game. They'll get folks to watch.
Yeah, I'll say they get the sirens going.
Or when Andy Dalton throws an interception against his, of course, they're playing against his former team. They can use that too. Another turnover. Woo, 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 woo.
Maybe I'll change it back to Chicago because that is his former team. So he wants to show them what they're missing. But no, I'm sticking with my pick.
Yeah, like I said, I just don't know. I don't know what to expect from this game. I mean, like I said, it can go to multiple directions. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, is Mark going to be on the verge of swearing? Because I kind of feel like we saw that last year, we
I think
know
that'd
that
be more entertaining than the game itself at that point.
Yeah, I mean, cause I'm sure he's gonna be, chanting for Justin Fields. Get him out there, man. Nagy, come on now. He well, he didn't play here. He was here for like a couple years ago. So, but we'll see. But yeah, I just don't know I don't know. And those are our picks for NFL Week 2. So, like, any closing thoughts here, folks, before we split here?
Yeah, I know we got a couple minutes left. Lakeena, we'll call sort of an audible. We got a couple minutes left.
For it.
Christine, since we have you here, the White Sox, they lose 2 out of 3 to the Angels this week. Shohei Ohtani was only limited to 1 hit. The Sox are traveling to Texas to take on the Rangers this weekend. That terrible team in Globe Ballpark, whatever the name that is. It looks like the earliest, the magic number is still 7. Looks like the earliest they can clinch is Monday, perhaps Tuesday in Detroit. What are your thoughts about the White Sox? Do you like the direction that they headed as we get towards the end of the regular season, heading towards the playoffs?
You know what? This team gets me so excited. I was so happy when I was back home that I was able to catch 2 games. I was there the Friday Elvis night. I can't remember who they were playing, but they were playing during Elvis night. And then I was at the game when the backup catcher, who's now down back in AAA in the farm system, Selby Savala.
Oh, Savala, yeah.
Yeah, he that was unbelievable to see that in itself. And even though they lost, it was still unbelievable. And this team just gets me excited. They have the energy. They know that they're good. And sometimes you have to have that type of arrogance in a way.
Yeah.
I got to be careful what I say about their last series with the Angels, though, because my boyfriend's an Angels fan. So I gotta watch what I say about that. It was a great first game, but then the scores, flipped yesterday, and my grandma was there, so that was cool to have her watch a game, even though they lost. But this team gets me really excited. Last year, I remember around this time, they clinched miraculously for whatever reason. So, there's no question that these guys are going to October. They're going to go to postseason ball for sure.
I know we'll ask you this question now, and I'm sure we'll ask it again every week leading up to the playoffs. But how far do you see the Sox team going?
I don't want to say it because if I say it, I'm going to jinx it.
Yeah.
But I can see that they are going to go pretty farther than last year. That's for sure.
So you think they're going to go to the ALCS, you think? Or you don't have to say it, but...
Yes, exactly. Just because you said it, and that means I didn't say it. So yes, Lakeena. Yes.
So it's going to be my fault if they get eliminated.
Although, Sid, before we go to, I got to give you a hard time about that Cutler jersey behind you. What are you doing?
Oh, these young people talking trash. Yeah, they got to learn the way. But yeah, actually, this was one of the ones that obviously I bought a few years ago. And not to be people wearing that style of It's a Fans Edition black jersey. Yeah. I bought it for a wholesale price. I was like, it looks nice. And not too many people are wearing these. So let me pick that up. Of course, I'm one of the few people that like Jay Cutler. Yes, he had his issues here, but it was way more Reese's bigger than him. Why the Bears didn't succeed under his tenure. So, and like I said, that's a whole nother show. We could deal with that. But,
be talking.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, I mean, look, Cutler was one of those guys where I actually like him now than I did when he was a Bear. I guess he has this great, jovial personality, and apparently he's having trouble with the dating pool. Well, hey, welcome to the club, my friend. It gets worse. Trust me.
It gets worse.
It gets worse as you get older. Trust me.
Can I just say his podcast, his show that he's doing, it's pretty good.
It is. It really is. So you guys check it out on your various podcast platforms. It's actually pretty funny. And Armando Lara Jr. says, look, he likes Cutler too. So so guys, make sure you guys check out that podcast of his.
Yeah, nothing against Cutler. He's a pretty talented guy when he wants to be. That's for sure.
Yeah, he was supposed to go to Fox a couple years ago, but the Miami Dolphins said, we'll give you $10 million, and that's what happened.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. So, what are you guys looking forward to this weekend? Because I kind of feel like there was so much going on, with both, with baseball, finish of their season, and also the NFL and college football. So, what's your guys' main thing you're going to be watching for this weekend?
I'm actually heading out to the Minnehaha Country Club here in a little bit for the Sanford International. It's the PGA Champions Tour. It's the 4th annual tournament that they've had out here. I've gone every single year, and you won't see Dustin Johnson or Jordan Spieth, anything like that. You'll see Miguel Jimenez. You'll see John Daly. I already saw him once.
How much you'll see of John Daly? How much you'll take?
Right, exactly.
I'm being mean.
Ernie Els is there. We'll see a Steve Stricker. So it's a lot of great golf happening here in the Sioux Empire. So that's what I'm looking forward to checking out. And the girl that actually walked by, my friend Sarah, we're gonna go together. So that's gonna be fun. Yeah.
All right. Sid, what about you?
I like the way Christine's pounding her fist on the desk.
She's going authority.
Yeah. Say that for Sunday watching the Paris game if you choose to watch it live.
Oh, gosh.
Andy Dalton, another interception. Damn.
Darn it. Another dick and dink.
That's going to be a new gift for Christine.
Another dick and dink. Another dick and dink.
I think I feel a little bit more angry than that, but that's something else.
Another turnover by Andy Dalton.
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
That's hilarious.
All right.
Yeah, like James from Good Times, Lakeena from back in the day, he slammed the door.
Yes. Oh, yeah. We gotta have a gift for that. We gotta get a gift again.
Yes.
But look, you got a lot of great stuff coming up this weekend. If you haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Queens, the new documentary with that features the 80s Mets teams. I'm at part 1 right now. I didn't get a chance to listen to the other 3, but hopefully I'll get a chance to listen to it this weekend. That's another thing I'm looking forward to, other than the games and the golf, like Christine mentioned.
Of course,
into golf.
Yeah, I love golf. I love golf. I'm looking forward to the Ryder Cup next week. Come on.
Hey, there we go. There we go. They were weighing in on that the other day here too.
Yeah, so that should be a lot of fun though. Are you gonna be able to go or?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm just gonna hang out here and watch the tournament and whatnot. There's actually a really cool story about one golfer that is competing this week, and his name is Jay Jurek. I believe that's how you say his last name. He was a math teacher in Michigan, believe it or not. And up until about a month ago, he's like, I'm not going to teach anymore. I'm going to pursue golf. And he qualified for the Sanford International at Baker's Crossing, a golf course out here in Sioux Falls. And yeah, now he's competing among some of the greatest golfers of this generation of all time. So it's pretty cool to see kind of that Cinderella story unfold right here in Sioux Falls.
Yeah, I love those type of stories in golf. That's always great to see.
Hopefully the White Sox get chopped down this magic number. Go Yankees. Hopefully they can sweep the Indians this weekend and get the magic number down even smaller.
Yes.
And of course, week 2 NFL. Can't wait.
All right. Oh God, this has been so much fun. I know we're up against it, but Christine, where can people find you on the social media streets?
You can always find me right there. It says @CManika_KXRB for Twitter. And then just find me on Facebook for Christine Manika.
All right, Lakeena, close us out.
You follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter and at Keena_McGee on the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sydney Brown, on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80. Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app. You can listen to us every Monday and Friday live from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on Sports Zone Chicago. You can follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can catch the audio version of this podcast by simply go to War on Anchor. We're available on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. Make sure you type in that search engine box WARR on Anchor on all podcast platforms. And you can follow War Media at all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at War Media. Once again, at WARR Media.
Okay, like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends. For Sid and Christine, I'm Lakeena. This has been Second City Sports. And be good to each other. Wash your hands, wear your mask, And just stay cool out there, folks. This has been Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, and we'll see you Monday.
Damn! Go Sox! Yo, Monday! Holla!
All right, Bear down as our buddy Twan. Like everybody showtime.